Hello, Jacob here, and today I will start a new series on my channel known as Weekly Wild Updates. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, as you know, I am a Minnesota Wild fan, and well, like I say, unlike the Minnesota Vikings series, where, there's only like 16 or 17 games, so that's kind of easy to do for the most part. With hockey, although, yeah, it's just, it's hard to do a recap after every single game, but especially because, well, I work a lot of nights, so it's kind of hard to catch every single game, so. But yeah, overall, from what I've seen with the Minnesota Wild up to this point, the Minnesota Wild, after about a week of play, are 3-1 in this 56-game season. But man, they cannot make it easy at all. I mean, at all. Because the 2-game series against LA, the Wild scored the first goal, then dropped to 3-1 down going into the third period. And by some miracle, both nights managed to come up with huge third periods to tie the games, and then eventually in overtime win. And yeah, I mean, this is nothing different than even with the Minnesota Vikings, because holy moly, I swear that all Minnesota teams do this. And I don't know if any of you know anything about Minnesota sports, but a lot of times it's a lot of close games, and it's just drag them out, slug them out games. Which, again, so far, these last 4 games have been. And, yeah. So, like I say, 2 huge overtime winners, Kaprizov and Johansson. And by the way, Kirill Kaprizov is really impressing me, and probably a lot of other Wild fans as well as hockey fans in general. I mean, he won the first star player of the week, so I mean, not a bad way to start off. I mean, he currently has 5 points so far this year, with a goal and 4 assists, I believe. But yeah, still, I mean, so far he's been doing pretty well this season, all in all. It'll be interesting to see how he progresses here, because again, we've been waiting for a player like this. And Talbot's looked pretty good, all things considered. I mean, yeah, sure, dropping those 3 goals, but there's a lot of those that really weren't his fault. I mean, especially game 1 of the LA series, there's just like 2 of those goals were just basically lucky plays at the net. I mean, there's not much you can really do about that. But anyway, now moving on to the Anaheim series. Last night, I mean, Cam Talbot kept us in the game as much as he could, but it was a drag him out slug. It was just a very defensive and like teeth drilling, for lack of a better term, game there, where it was just a lot of defense, a lot of physicality, not so much scoring. But again, Talbot gets caught out of position, and that was it. 1-0 loss to Anaheim. So, and then tonight, yet again, the Wild were up 2-0 going into the second, and then just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, in the second period, go down, well, end up getting tied on 2-2. And at this point, I'm thinking, great. Because I know Anaheim has had a history against the Wild, especially with their, I mean, the Wild have really outshot Anaheim quite a bit, and for whatever reason, Anaheim still manages to find a way to just grind it out and get that win. But tonight, thanks to a shorthanded goal by Ryan Hartman, and then I want to say it was Bonino. Yeah, Bonino with the power play goal. And then, of course, Joel Eriksson Ek with the eventual game winner. Oh, boy. But yeah, as I said before, so far, from what I've been seeing with this team, there's a lot of promise and a lot of hope going forward here. Because Kakkonen looked pretty good. I mean, again, he looked like an inexperienced goalie. There was a few plays there, especially towards the end, when there was an opportunity for Suter, who was flying down there. Basically, he tried to play the puck when Suter basically had it, but, you know, again, inexperienced. He's only played like 6 games, so. But yeah, so they end that Southern California early stretch 3-1 on the season. So now we host San Jose, and we get to see a few former Wild players in Donato and Dubnyk, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember, yeah, Brian Burns was actually a draft pick back in 2003 for the Wild, so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see because I know that San Jose beat St. Louis tonight in a shootout. So, I mean, we'll see what happens here. Because, again, so far after week 1, 3-1, moving forward. Yeah, we'll just wait and see. Because there's a lot of hope. I mean, as I just mentioned before, there's a lot of hope for this young team. And, I won't necessarily say this year this team's going to be contenders, but give it another year or two. I mean, especially if we can get some more of our young players going. And this team is going to be fun to watch and could potentially be a force moving forward. So, yeah. On to San Jose next. I mean, because the schedule does not get any easier after this. So the real test will be in a couple weeks when we go up against Colorado in that 4-game series. That's going to be tough. So, but yeah, I mean, until we meet again, this is Jacob. Go Wild. Have a good night.